Welcome to EduRev.
Hi friends, welcome to EduRev. I'm Binu Krishna and I'm the faculty for Art and Culture. I have delivered more than 400 plus videos in various online edtech platforms, and as an aspirant, I have given 4 prelims, 3 mains, and I have qualified for 1 interview. So, there is something that I want to address as a part of this series of IVC lectures of art and culture that we have. Now, this is going to be the part 2 lecture of town planning of Indus Valley Civilization. Now, what is the strategy that we follow in our lectures? To rephrase it, what makes us put you ahead of the others? Or how are we different from the others? And what is our strategy to make you stand apart from the crowd? There are 4 set of points that I have quoted here. First thing is our lectures, our series of lectures in art and culture, it is going to be a combination of current affairs and the static portion. Now sounds simple, right? But what exactly are we going to do here is that we are going to follow the PIB articles of if there is some sort of 100th anniversary of some noted personalities or 150th anniversary of a recent tradition that has been in practice. So we are going to follow the PIB articles. We are going to follow your Hindu paper. Wherever there is a news of art and culture, we'll be following that. And we are also going to keep a track of various other articles which come up either in your newspapers or particularly in the speeches of noted parliamentarians, in the speeches of your prime minister, or if there is some issue that is cropping up in the current affairs, we are going to put it out here in our lectures. The second thing is we are going to concentrate more upon PYQs. What is PYQs? Your past year questions. So be it mains or be it prelims, we'll be concentrating more upon the PYQs. Now, why should we do that? Now understand, take for example, the previous year's question. There was one question upon paintings. So Kishangarh School of Painting is one such very important painting, and they asked one question that Bani Thani painting belongs to which of the schools, and they've given option A, B, C and D. Sounds simple, but actually only if you know the basic, it's a hardcore basic concept. Only if you know this basic concept will you be able to answer it. So we are going to make the basic very strong, which is the static portion very strong. And after that, if you observe something else, there was increasing questions about other schools of painting, like what sort of painting did Jahangir support? So these kind of questions we are going to track, and we are going to give a sound basis with regard to the traditional topics, like for example your Buddhism, Jainism, the religious schools of Hinduism, all that we are going to deal with that. Tracking the recent trends of the exam, like there is a very recent trend where increased emphasis is given to lesser known kingdoms, or you can say your NCRT must not have given or may not have given much of importance to Vijayanagara Empire. For example, there is only one dedicated chapter for Vijayanagara Empire, whereas there are 6-7 chapters for Mughal dynasty, right? So what happens is there is a shift towards the southern side of India, and we are increasingly seeing kingdoms of Karnataka, kingdoms of Andhra, and the kingdoms of Tamil Nadu coming up increasingly in the questions. Be it the literature of Sangam literature, or be it the dynasties like your Vijayanagara Empire or your Chola Empire. So these kind of questions are increasingly coming up, which means we have to go by the recent trends of UPSC. And most importantly, simplified lectures. If you observe the lectures, we are having very crisp lines, and we are also in the process of revising the doc files. So these are the things which as a platform in EduRev, I'm taking it up for you. With that as an introduction, let us move forward to the actual part of today's module, which is after town planning, we are going to read about the political structure of Indus Valley Civilization. Non-conclusive theories abound, which means that essentially what sort of political structure ruled the Indus Valley That we are not yet clear. Like just like how we are not able to decipher their script, we are not able to decipher what sort of authority ruled them. Like be it any given country, there should be some sort of political structure, right? Like we have a democratic structure. Similarly, we do observe there is a centralizing tendency with regard to IBC. How am I saying that? That is because if you take the standardized brick measurement, the bricks are same each and everywhere. Similarly, the mother goddess figures, they are appearing everywhere. Similarly, the seals are appearing everywhere. The pottery is appearing everywhere, which means there is a certain trend of standardization. There is a certain trend of uniformity which we are observing throughout the Indus Valley Civilization. And therefore, we come to the conclusion that there might have been a political structure which might have unified the entire Indus Valley Civilization. So what sort of theories are about? What sort of political structure might have been present? The first theory says that a theocratic structure or a theocratic institution might have authorized, or you can say might have ruled this particular place. Like a religious institution or a religious text might be the source of power for the people of the Indus Valley Civilization. So this is one theory, a religious institution dominating or being a part of the central authority. The second theory suggests that there might have been an oligarchic rule. What is oligarchy? Oligarchy is nothing but a small group of people having control of the country or the organization. It can be merchants, they can be a priestly class, they can be rulers, they can be the aristocrats, they can be educators, they can be anybody, but a group of definitive people, a group of definitive community. So this is the second theory. Which of this is true? Nobody knows. But there is a centralizing authority. Now we are coming on to the town planning structure. Now there are two definitive division of towns that we observe. Like one is called the citadel and the other one is called the lower town. So what is this citadel? Citadel means, like the definition as in English, it literally means that there is some sort of fortification that is happening. So this kind of citadel, as observed, it is built on an upraised platform. Look at the picture that we have here. This picture suggests that there is a building that is constructed on an upraised platform with walls fortifying it from all the sides. And possibly such a building might have been used for granaries, administrative buildings, pillared halls or courtyard. Now it also says that they might have been residents of rulers and aristocrats. What about the second part of the division that I talked about? It is called as the lower town. Just by the name suggests that it is present much lower to your citadel. Citadel is on an upraised platform, whereas the lower town is present in the lower portion. Let us try to get to know more about it. It is much larger in area than the citadel. Now the citadel is actually a very smaller location, my dear friends, whereas this lower town is a much larger area than the citadel, and it is also walled to a certain extent, possibly to keep the floods away. Now, this is where something important comes to the focus, that is, flooding might have been known to the Indus Valley people. From this information that there is some sort of walls or fortification that has been built, it is understood, it is scientifically understood that flooding, this concept of flooding is very well known to the people of Indus Valley Civilization. This is a possible conclusion that the scientists and the archaeologists have come to. And very important is, this lower town might have served as quarters for the working class people. Another thing that is observed is, take a look at the picture. The picture here we have presence of double storied buildings. Like when you observe the excavation, some staircases are found. So archaeologists, it made the archaeologists to think that then these kind of lower town buildings might have been double story because of the presence of staircases. So that is why we say that there is a presence of double-storied building, which might indicate that there is the presence of the staircases might have indicated that there is this double-storied building. And the next one, we are going to discuss about drainage system. Of course, in the last lecture, I mentioned to you that the Indus Valley people are by far the pioneers of hydraulic system, because they know that if I construct the bathroom here, then it must have a big drainage to carry all the water, and it must flow into another main canal or main drainage system. So there should be a proper understanding of the flow of the water. So that is why we say that this hydraulic system or hydraulic engineering is very well known to the Indus Valley people. Second thing is, it is understood that they have actually laid out the proper planning as to, like, this is where my house should be, this is where the main road should be, because first of all they may clear this particular plan and then they had actually constructed the drainage. So this proper planning is also very well known from the excavation that we have undertaken. So each house had its own private drinking well. The picture that you see here is one such private well. And they also had the bathrooms. They also had bathrooms and toilets of their own. The water from these bathrooms, they ran through clay pipes into underground drainage. So that is another point that you have to remember, my dear friends, which is underground drainage system was also present in the Indus Valley Civilization. And yes, the picture that we have here, take a look at it. This is the earliest known toilets of the Harappan culture. Take a closer look at the picture. You will observe that it is actually quite similar to the Indian toiletry that we have right now. So this is again something that is so fascinating with regard to the Indus Valley Civilization people. And another thing is, the water from these bathrooms, I said that they ran through clay pipes, and they then onwards they ran into a main drain. Now if you take a look at this particular picture, these main drains, they were made up of bricks. Take a closer look at the picture. The main drains were built of bricks and mortar. It is a brick and mortar construction, and it had a pretty large cross section to accommodate even a larger water flow. So what can you comprehend from all of it? Whatever I have said right now, what can you possibly comprehend? That they had pretty good knowledge with regard to personal hygiene, right? They had pretty good knowledge about the municipal system as to the planning, that this is where houses are to be built. This is where you'll be having a cross section of roads. So this itself shows that there is an advancement in municipal system. There was proper administration, because we had a centralized authority. What authority? That we are not clear, but there was one centralizing authority, that much is clear. Then we also know the importance to personal hygiene. We know that there existed a proper town planning. We also know that they had good knowledge of brick and mortar construction. So these things we come to know because of whatever we have studied till now. This is the inference. And mind you, these inferences, when you write in your exam, it will fetch you more points, because it is very crisp and it will deliver whatever information that you want to deliver in a very crisp line. So it will give you more marks. The Great Bath and the Great Granary, two very important things. An important feature of the Harappan city is the prevalence of public bath. What sort of public bath? Why should you have public bath in the first place? That is because it shows how much ritualistic cleaning is present in their culture. Now this great bath, take a look at the picture. It is rectangular in shape. And also if you take a look at this, there are a couple of staircases, two wide staircases on the northern and the southern side. So that's again very important. And yes, one of the important examples of the great bath is present at Mohenjo-daro, which in itself, the engineering acumen is very well clear from this construction. Not just that, it also had an array of galleries and rooms surrounding it, possibly to change the dress or something of that sort, but it does have an array of rooms surrounding the great bath. Yes, let us move forward to domestic house planning. Mainly three buildings are found: dwelling houses, public buildings and public bath. If you take the street structure, it is connecting north to south. The main streets are connecting north to south, and you have connecting streets from east to west. So they are sub streets, you can call it like that. The streets and drainage, they are constructed first. Very, very important is this particular point. The streets and the drainage are constructed first, and later on houses were built around them, which shows their engineering and town planning provinces or prowess in everything. They used burnt mud bricks. They had excellent knowledge about brick and gypsum mortar construction. Very, very important is the standardized ratio of the bricks. So all these 3 points try to remember. Structure of the houses. The houses were constructed along the roads and the drains, and each of the house is centered around a courtyard. Now this courtyard could be the center of household activities. It might have hold a considerable importance with regard to the houses. And yes, the Great Granary, we have this Great Granary which is at Harappa, and this is like a large warehouse type structure at Harappa, which is also referred to as the Great Granary. And now we have a question. Yes, coming to this question, this is a past year's question that was asked in the year of 2011 in prelims. And this was predominantly a secular civilization, and the religious element, though present, did not dominate the scene. Look at the words that they have used here. Though present, did not dominate the scene. Of course, religious symbols, religious worship, phallic worship, yonic worship, it was all present. We had the Pashupati seal, which is considered to be the prototype of Lord Shiva. All that was present. But did it dominate the scene? That's the question. No, absolutely not. Because this Indus Valley civilization is very, very secular in its approach. So the first statement is correct. During this period, cotton was used for manufacturing textiles. That is also perfectly correct, which means the answer is both 1 and 2. With that, we are concluding the lecture for the day, and there are 10,000 plus questions in the EduRev Infinity platform. We have 2,000 plus documents, and we have a lot of video lectures to be watched out for. Thank you so much. We'll continue this series later on also. Have a nice day.